Hello everyone, my name is Lance090 and welcome to a video I wanted to do here pretty quickly about the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 trailer. So, no, I'm not going to start making my channel like a horror channel or anything. I'm way too much of a pussy to actually play these games. I just really love like the backstory and stuff behind the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I watch other Let's Players play them. They do the hard part while I watch. And I just like to try to get into Scott Cawthon's head because I think he's a genius and these games are really freaking awesome when you go into the backstory and stuff. So we're gonna watch the trailer really quick, and then I'm going to talk about the trailer and also these screenshots here that are on Steam Greenlight, and then I'm going to go over my theories about what's going on here. Alright, so that's the trailer. We have a lot less to go on than we did with Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but in some ways that's actually a good thing because in 2 he gave us so much stuff to go on that we ended up going in like the completely wrong directions with the kind of theories that people are coming up with. And a lot of my theories were wrong too. But this time I'm starting to have some good feelings that I might actually be right because there's a few things that I actually thought might happen that are happening. I've written down a list on my other monitor here. I'm going to kind of cover the same stuff I go over there. First, let's read this description here that he posted on the Greenlight page. 30 years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed its doors, the events that took place have become nothing more than a rumor and a childhood memory. But the owners of Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction, are determined to revive the legend and make the experience as authentic as possible for patrons, going to great lengths to find anything that might have survived decades of neglect and ruined. At first, there were only empty shells, a hand, a hook, an old paper plate doll, but then a remarkable discovery was made. The attraction now has one animatronic. So, one of the little things that I did not expect to be right about this at all, but one of my fan theories I came up with was if there's ever a sequel, that it would have to be like a reopening of the place as a horror attraction rather than as a pizza place. And that's what's happened here because the company's just gone through so much trouble at this point that there's no way they would be able to legally get the place open again as a pizzeria. So another thing, but this was in a lot of people's heads, this wasn't really my idea alone or anything. People were saying that this animatronic here that we saw in the video and in this picture here, like he's like a Frankenstein kind of animatronic, which seems to be hinted at this description here that the attraction now has one animatronic, like he came out of nowhere. So let's get into some of my ideas here. I'm gonna read it off my list to the side here, so one moment as I gather myself. So I think his direction he's trying to push us with is misdirection this time, because he misdirected us with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 into thinking that it was a sequel when it was actually a prequel. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I thought that was really clever. But you know, the trailer said reactivated, redesigned, stuff like that, and it seemed, oh, this is definitely a sequel, and then it wasn't. So I have a feeling he's trying to do that again here, so that's why when in the trailer it said like he always comes back and stuff, it seems like that might be referring to Freddy, but in actuality I think that's probably referring to the murderer of all the children. because he does always come back. If you take like game theory's uh, theory on what the background of this stuff is, there's been like 4 iterations of the Fazbear's Diner, and each time the murderer comes back and kills more children. And so this leaves me thinking that, well, with a lot of people, I just want to say that a lot of people probably also agree that the murderer is what they're referring to with he. But it's just kind of a quick throw off that he's probably trying to make you think that it's Fazbear when it's not. So, when it comes to the murder, though, I think there's 2 ways this can go. And version 1 is what a lot of people are probably thinking right now, that the animatronic... let's open up this other picture of him, too. Animatronic that we see here, he's possessed by the murderer, because if you believe in the game theory, which is pretty accurate, and I'd say it's probably right to some extent, says that the phone guy was the murderer, and he gets killed in the first game, and so they stuffed him into this suit that we see here, and now he's haunting it. And it would explain why this guy is so freaking creepy, because he's a freaking child murderer, so of course he'd be extremely creepy. But there's also another way this could go, and I kind of based this on, in the trailer, it was saying he always comes back and all that. And there's 2 ways you can kind of interpret them saying that. One is they're referring to an event that happened in the past, and obviously them killing the murder happened in the past in this case. Or it can be them thinking of future plans. He always comes back, so we need to do something about this. So that means option 2 is that the phone guy was not the murderer, and we are playing the murderer in this game, because we've come back to murder whoever might enter this building. And what I think this theory might shine through is you can see that the animatronic was extremely twitchy during that one scene of the trailer. And it could be that since all these other animatronics are scrapped now, because there's only one in this game, and that's what he's implying, is that there's only one of them. It could be that all of these kids' spirits have now been trapped into the one animatronic all at the same time, so they're all kind of like fighting for control over it during that scene. And I think this would also play into effect with the game difficulty, because the animatronic here is going to have to be extremely smart and extremely aggressive and stuff compared to how the animatronics have been in past games, because he has to play the role as all of the animatronics all at once if he's the only one, you know. So you can imagine if their childs are all in this animatronic and you're the murderer, they'd be pretty freaking angry with you. So I think that would explain like the game difficulty if it ends up being pretty hard. I think it'll just be balanced, but I think compared to just any one animatronic in the other games, this guy's going to be pretty crazy. So that's kind of it for the theory crafting side of it. I'm going to go with, I think that we're playing the murderer in this one, and not that the murderer is in the suit. I think that'll be the unpopular opinion right now, but we'll see. I'll see if I'm right or not. I'm calling it out here. So let's go into like the game mechanics and just stuff that I've noticed in like these screenshots. So one thing I noticed, and it's really strange, it's kind of a small thing, is that the fan, it's back in the game again, which is kind of funny for one thing. But you can see here it's on the other side of this pane of glass. It's not in the office. And it's still pointed at us, though. It's not pointing into the hallway at all or anything. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but it's there. And I don't think he's just done an oversight of putting the fan in the wrong place. Maybe it's on the wrong layer, maybe. That'd be kind of unfortunate. But, yeah, that's kind of odd that it's out here in the hallway. I kind of have a funny idea that maybe the animatronic will kill you with it sometimes. I think that would be kind of humorous, just because the fan's been in the game for so long. But there's also other stuff it could be related to. For one, we go back to this picture. It says we have the system restart menu with audio devices, camera system, and ventilation. So it could possibly be related to ventilation, the fan. What the ventilation does, I have no idea. But you can see we have a vent in the office here. In here, and then there's one in the hallway here. And then, oops. If we go to these other room screenshots, there's a vent in this one. And they're all too small for him to get through, I think. Like, I don't even think, like, Mangle could have gotten through. He was even in the game. That's the same one we just looked at, isn't it? There's another one. This one. Yeah, I can kind of see a vent back there too. I don't know what they do. I think it might be... it's definitely related to somehow combating the animatronic here. And there's a few different things it could be related to. Like, for one, in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there's an unused game file called Toxic that was possibly associated with Mangle. I don't know what he might have intended that to be, but I think it could be somewhat related to this. So I'll bring it up. Mangle is in the room with you, technically, because she's in this box, but she's deactivated and torn apart and stuff, but she was already torn apart, you know? One idea that I had during FNaF 2, or Five Nights at Freddy's 2, before it came out, was I thought that the limiting factor on your ability to use the Freddy head would be based on heat, like you're getting too hot to wear the suit, so you have to take it off at some point. That didn't end up being the case, but maybe that's the case now, and the ventilation is to help you keep cool, but there's no pictures here to suggest that you can wear a Freddy suit. There's these hats, these animatronic heads are in there, and they seem to be empty, so who knows, maybe you can put them on. I don't think that the animatronic's going to be that easy to outsmart, though, this time. Let's see, I feel like there was another thing about the ventilation. Oh, that fake Five Nights at Freddy's 3 game that came out said that it made the excuse that the Freddy mask was toxic itself, and so that's why you have to take it off occasionally. So, yeah, and then, like, my third idea, and this is based on this picture here, you'll see that this one, unlike this one over here, this room is highlighted with, like, brackets. And there's a few things it could be. It could mean that there's, like, a motion detector. Like, the people thought this with the last one, that maybe there was a motion detector, and that's why there was a blinking exclamation mark by that one room, but that turned out to be the music box mechanic. But now that we're in the 2000s, most definitely, because we say that the first Five Nights at Freddy's game was in 1990, and if this is 30 years after, you know, that puts it in 2020. I think more specifically they were thinking it's 1992, so it'd be 2022. So it's actually in the future from now, which is kind of cool. But, you know, this time it might be a little bit more reasonable that there might actually be a motion sensor. And he's in that room. Or it could just be that you can see him in that room, so it's just telling you, hey, he's in this room. But it could also be the ventilation system. Maybe you're activating the ventilation system in that room. And one idea I kind of have is maybe it's pumping air from your room into one of these rooms. And so he can, like, smell you in that room, and it's a way to pull him away from coming towards you. But I feel like that might be a little bit far-fetched, so possibly not. What else is there to cover here? Kind of a smaller thing. You might, if you've seen the other screenshot, and you can also look at this one, sort of. The marionette is not in this box. And, you know, you can take that for whatever you want it to be. He's saying there's only one animatronic in this one. But, marionette is not in there. Alright, I'm just going to go over this list of stuff here one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything. Related to gameplay mechanics in general. I feel like there's not going to be something similar to the marionette in this one. Not specifically the animatronic, but related to his game mechanic of having to look at one room and wind the music box over and over. If there's anything that Scott has ever done that's been bad about any of these games, and I don't think he's really done anything terribly bad. The only thing that I think was a bad choice was the music box in the last one. It was kind of scary, but what it did was made it so you could only look at one camera pretty much all the time. Maybe in the easier settings you could look around if you wanted to, but you didn't need to. And at the higher difficulty settings, you just didn't even have the option to. You just had to look at that one camera or in your office. And the first one sort of had that problem too. It wasn't that important to look around, but it wasn't as critical to only look at one spot. Other than Pirate Cove kind of did the same thing. Well, it wasn't quite as bad because, you had to maintain a proper balance of looking at it and not looking at it. And you also kind of had to look for Freddy since you could kind of skip a room. So I feel like he's probably learned from that. I think other people have complained about that gameplay mechanic, and I think that this time it's going to be a lot more important to actually look around. It actually took people a long time to find all the Easter eggs in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 just because no one was really looking around so much as just staring at one room. But yeah, I think that covers everything now then. Again, I know this doesn't fit any of my channel's content very well, but if you know me off the channel, I really, really like this series of games. And I think it's cool stuff, and I like to try to make theories. I want to see if I'm right this time, because I was right on a few things just based on what the trailer showed. So I kind of have a good feeling that maybe I'm a little bit more correct this time than I was with Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I was really wrong with my ideas for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and have a good day.